I have a love-hate relationship with early access games. I've had countless hours of fun with many of them, but also been burned by others. Buying an early access game is always a risk because you never know for sure if the final product will meet the expectations you set for it or if it will be finished at all. With experience, however, I think it's possible to determine if an early access game has the foundation to be a good game. I can't say that I'm an expert in this area, but I do have thousands of hours playing early access games under my belt. These games include games you've probably heard of or played yourself, such as Fortnite Save the World and Fortnite Battle Royale, PUBG, Deep Rock Galactic, Raft, Scrap Mechanic, Grounded, Valheim, Satisfactory, and Risk of Rain 2, as well as some you might not have heard of, such as Darksburg, Dismantle, Flotsam, Muck, and Rise to Ruins. Many of these games are open world survival games, and so is the game I'll be discussing today, LEN'S Island. I was lucky enough to receive an early copy of the game and spent the last couple of days exploring as much of the game as possible. I believe I've seen more than enough of the game at this point to judge whether it's worth playing now or if you should wait. Before we begin, make sure to click the subscribe button below and turn on notifications so you never miss any future videos. Let's get started. So as I was sitting at my computer about to write the script for this review, I decided, you know what, I'm just not going to do that this time. In the past, I've written reviews and I've scripted the entire thing out, and while they usually do turn out well as a video, I think it's just better for me to just show you the actual gameplay. So what we're going to do is I just started a brand new game, and I'm just going to walk you through the main features of the game, let you see them for yourself. I'm going to try to avoid as many spoilers as possible so you can discover things for yourself, because I don't want to ruin it if you decide to play the game. And with that said, we're just going to jump right in. So this is the start of the game. I just created my character, so when you create a new world or a new save, it's going to give you a character creation screen. It's nothing super fancy. You just pick a couple things what your character look like, body appearance, stuff like that. You can have hair color, clothes color, and stuff like that. And outside of that, it's nothing fancy, like I said. It's just a character creation screen. So you just drop in here. You start on this little beach here next to this little hut thing that's set up here. You have a dagger. I think there's a dagger, right? You have a Bowie knife. You have an axe, and you have a pickaxe. So of course, you can use the Bowie knife to harvest the grass stuff that's around the map. That's what it's best used for, or bushes. There's also plants. The axe is obviously going to be used to cut down trees, and the pickaxe is going to be used to cut down, or to harvest different types of rocks. Now, over here, we're going to have the tool chest. You're going to get this menu that pops up. So basically, the way the game works is, you start off with a backpack that has 4 slots in it. You can only carry 4 tools at a time. Now, after the first couple hours, this was a kind of a turn. Like, I was kind of turned off by this because I was frustrated that I have to keep going back to this chest in order to get the things I needed. But then I eventually realized that, you know, it's a really good design choice because it doesn't allow you to have a backpack full of like 100 different tools that you can use for every situation. So depending on what you're doing, you basically just have to decide whether or not you want to use what you want to have with you. And of course, in the future, after you play for a couple hours, you will be able to expand the number of slots you have down here, so you can actually carry more things. So let's click through this. So as you can see, we have our weapon in here, and we have these things. These are the only tools we have right now. We have a 4th slot. You can get other tools. So basically, you're dropped into this world. You have no idea what's going on. There is no map in the game so far from what I've seen, other than you get a map table later. There's no map that you can toggle to from what I've seen, and there's also no mini map. So basically, if you're like me and you easily get lost, it might take you a little bit of time to find your bearings in the game, but once you do, you'll find out where there's landmarks. And I guess one recommendation I would make is, if you see, you're going to find some paths in different places. The paths usually lead you where you need to go. So basically, you can wander around, and we'll just hit a couple things. So you have these plants here, and you can just hit these bushes, and they will give you plant fiber, and you can access your inventory by pressing tab. So as you can see, after I hit the bush, I opened up my inventory, and it gave us these fibers. So these are the different resources. As far as I've seen, these are the only resources these are all the resources that are in the game. They tell you up front. So these are all the resources you can gather. There's different food and farming items. I have about 8 or 9 hours in my main world, and I've seen most of these things up to this point. But yeah, I think I've seen all of these things up to this point. So you'll see them. And then over here, this is going to say Traveler's Backpack. This is where you have the crafting menu. So by default, you're going to start off with all these different crafting options for building a house, and then you have these down here that you have to unlock later on. There's also, you can build out of wood, you can build out of stone, and you can build ornate. And then over here, the second tab is going to be farming. So you start off being able to build a wood frame farm, and you can plant different plants in there. You can plant the crops. So anything that you see here, well, all these can be planted somehow. I have not yet planted. I've planted blueberries, I've planted pumpkins, I've planted watermelon. I have not planted passion fruit and grapes. I have planted wheat, and you can also plant these different flowers. And this is ground flour, and this is bread, which is logically made from the ground flour. So that's the farming stuff. And as you can see, you also have a stone well you can start off with. You're going to need the well in order to get water to water your crops, because you have to water your crops manually at the beginning. Then there's 6 other things you can unlock. Next up, you're going to have the third tab under utility and storage. Is going to be, you're going to have a bed and a workbench, just like in pretty much every survival game that's open world crafting. You're going to have a workbench. The workbench starts off by letting you craft the stuff that's currently available, and then when you upgrade, you can upgrade the workbench using various resources. I think the max is level 3 right now. I think that's what I got it up to. Each time you upgrade it, unlocks more things you can possibly craft. Then last thing, we have decoration. So it starts off, you have a small drawer, you have a dining chair, and then these other things down here. And then as you upgrade the workbench, you'll unlock some more of these. So that's the crafting menu in your backpack. So what we'll do is we'll go down here and we'll show you what the chopping looks like. So we're going to walk over here to this tree. Now, one thing, be mindful of, if you've played Valheim, you know a tree will fall on you, it'll kill you. So let's just hop down a big tree. I also like the fact of this. You can see this tree to the left here. The tree is actually, it basically shows you where you are. So this tree, the pine tree here, is right here. You can see the pine tree. When you walk behind it, it actually fades away so you can see behind it. That is fantastic. When you cut down the tree, it will typically fall the direction away from where you're standing. So I'm going to cut the tree from this side, and it should fall to the left. If it falls on top of you, if you end up like running over here and let it hit you, it'll actually do damage to you. And also, sometimes trees have beehives in them. I have not yet figured out how to determine how to see if there's a beehive in them. They're not like obvious, but if you see bees, you can just run away. And then one other thing that's down here in the menu that we haven't showed yet is Q. You can actually roll. So you can use that for just moving faster, as well as when you're in combat, which we'll show later on. So we're going to cut this tree down. Now, a couple things. I don't know if it's going to tell me right here. Okay, so it's going to tell me here. This basically says you can get crits. So if you hit the tree by default, you're going to do 6 damage. You're going to do 6 damage with the pickaxe when you hit some rocks. And I'm not sure what the Bowie knife does. But anyway, for trees and rocks, you're going to do 6 damage. 6 if you hit the trees with a axe, and 6 on the rocks, clay, limestone, if you're using a pickaxe. That's the default. If you hit it properly, you'll get a crit. The crit will do 9 damage, so it does 50% more damage. And also what I've noticed after doing tons and tons of farming is that if you get crits consistently, you should get bonus resources. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit here. You're going to see it flashes down there. We're getting 9, and you can see, hopefully we'll get extra wood here. I don't know if it actually works on wood. I know it 100% happens. I didn't get it that time. As you can see down in the bottom right corner, we got bonus wood there. And the tree fell exactly where I thought it was going to fall. So we got that wood. We go into our inventory. Go over here. And by default, you can carry up to 150 wood. Now, a couple things I want to point out. Number one, you will never become encumbered in the game because none of these things have weight. So the focus of the game does not seem, it is a survival game, but it's not like a hardcore survival game. You're not going to have to manage your weight. You're not going to have to manage your thirst at all. And there is no stamina bar. The only thing you have is your backpack can hold by default up to 150 of any of these resources, So you can have 150 of all these and you'll be fine. When you upgrade your backpack size, this goes up to higher amounts, and you'll need to do that in order to craft other things, because some things require more than 150 to build them. And then down here, you're going to see we have a health bar and we have a hunger bar. It's the same features you have in Valheim. So in Valheim, if you're not familiar, when your hunger bar gets down to 25, you will never starve to death. So you will never starve to death, basically. What will end up happening, though, is as your hunger depletes down, it'll deplete all the way down to 0. Your health will slowly deplete down to about 50%, and you will not be able to heal unless you start eating. If you eat, it'll heal you. But you'll go down here. So if you're just wandering around exploring, you just don't have to worry about it. So I really like that, because if you've been watching me play Grounded at all, or watched me play Valheim in the past, you know that I am really, really poor at managing my stamina, especially in survival games. So I love the fact that there is no stamina. Another thing to point out is, from what I've seen so far, none of the tools or weapons that I've crafted have durability bars. That means you will only ever have to, you start with these and never have to craft them. Later on, when you're able to craft other weapons and tools, or if you can actually buy them. As from what I've seen, there's no durability, so they never break. You can craft a torch. The torch never burns out. So they've taken survival aspects and made them so that while it has the survival aspects, it also is not super tedious, and you don't have to constantly micromanage your character. So the combat basically involves hitting them, then you can just dodge. Later on, you can get a shield. and you can get crits, obviously, if you get the right hits. Later on, you can get a shield. So that's basically the combat. The combat, honestly, from what I've seen so far, you can be sloppy against some of the enemies and just hack and slash. But if you want to be, I guess, if you want to manage your resources best as possible, not have to burn through all your food, you're gonna have to get good at rolling, jumping, because you can roll, you can jump over the creatures. There's also, once you actually craft weapons, the weapons will have different abilities. So that's everything I kind of want to cover on the starter island. Like I said, I'm not going to show you the whole island. I just wanted to give you the basic rundown of it. So basically, the gist of the game is you can explore, you can do this dungeon, you can just not do it, you can do it. There's no, like, currently there's no quests in the game. From what I've seen in the early access documentation, it looks like on the Steam page, they plan on adding NPC quests in the future, so they'll add some more questing to it. I'm not sure if they'll involve leveling up the characters or not. So right now, it's basically just do whatever you want. So let me hop on over to my other world. Okay, so this is the world that I put most of my time into, and this is the little starter shack that we started out at, and there is a note here that you can pick up, that you can read, let you read that for yourself. So basically, this was the original starter shack, and I just added onto it. And as you can see, we have this different stuff in here. So we have the workbench, we have some couple other things here you can unlock later on. We have the bed, table here, and my workbench is upgraded. I'm not going to click on it because I don't want to spoil the other things that are in there for you. So that's that. And then we'll run over here because we got our gardens over here. So these are the same gardens you saw I showed before. Instead of being made out of wood, they're made out of, I think it's ornate. And then we got some blueberries here. We got, I think, watermelon and pumpkins here. And then we have wheat over here. And then we have the watering system here. Down in the inventory, you're going to notice I have a couple of extra slots. So I have the watering can. But the watering in this game is super easy. So basically all you do is walk over to the well. And you can actually get up to 3 at a time. So if you place them in the corner here, and you just face the one diagonal here, I'm just going to hit this. We're going to press the W key. And I don't know if it's going to change color or not. Basically, you can water 3 at a time. These I have to hit 2 at a time, these 1 at a time. So it's super easy. And then we'll walk over here and I will show you. This is my sword. So this sword, as you can see, we have the W down here. So this one has a W ability. So the W ability of that is a spin attack. It's going to do more damage. And it does have cooldown just like this does. This is the house I'm currently working on. This is made out of ornate stuff. And there's nothing really in here. I just started building it. But as you can see, you can build multi-story buildings. So you can just build up here and go to the 2nd floor. And everything disappears. This is really cool. You can see inside the house. Everything just flawlessly disappears so you can see it. That's the basic gist of the game. I have, on this world, I think I have about 9 hours on it. And I have absolutely loved every minute of it. This game is so relaxing. Right now, the game is in a really good place. So everything in this game feels absolutely amazing right now. The combat feels pretty decent. It's not going to be the best combat in the world because it's not it's not an action RPG game, but the combat's good enough. The progression feels pretty good. Everything that you gather is for a purpose. You can either use it to build something, craft something, or trade or sell it to buy something else. So everything just feels super useful. It doesn't feel too grindy right now. It feels okay, at least for me so far. I haven't got to the point where I'm like, I just don't feel like doing this. Like I said, I could literally just sit here and cut down trees all day and then just build more stuff. I built this house over here. I'm building this house over here. And right now, the only concerns I have are how long is it going to take for the game to be finished? So on the Steam Early Access page, they always say, how long do you plan to be in early access development? Typically, what I see for most games is that they're going to be in early access development for usually 6 to 12 months. Sometimes they say 18. I've seen occasionally they'll say 1 to 2 years. This game says 2 to 3 years. That's the only concern I currently have right now is how long is it going to take for this game to get finished and how frequent are the updates going to be. The game was originally developed by a sole developer. The team was doubled to 2, and they got to this point. So everything you see took about 4 years. Between the original developer, they added the developer, and I think they said they had some part-time people helping with music, sound effects, and maybe animations or something along those lines. So my only concern right now is how long is it going to take to be finished, and how much time can you actually get out of it right now? Like I said, I don't know how deep I've gotten into the dungeon. I don't know if I just scratched the surface of it or if I'm almost all the way through. But to be honest, there's enough here that if you're like me and you like survival games, and let's be honest here, it seems like 95% of survival games that come out nowadays, especially if they're on Steam, they're in early access. So you have to kind of pick and choose whether or not you want to support them, when you want to support them. This game, I would say right now, if you like survival games and you're looking for a new game to play and try out, now it is single player right now. They said they're going to add co-op in the future, so that's something that's going to come along. And I think they're going to add character customization because prior to this being on Steam Early Access, it had a Kickstarter. They exceeded their Kickstarter goal by, I believe, almost double. I think their Kickstarter goal was like 38,000 Australian dollars, and it actually got 58,000, so it's almost double. And it got 50% funded within 24 hours. So between that and we'll see how it does on Steam Early Access. I think it's going to get good reviews. I've seen it being mentioned by a couple of really large YouTube channels that cover general gaming news, which I was kind of surprised by because they typically don't cover small indie games like this. So I think if it was me, I would say yes, it'd be worth investing in and putting some time into it. If you like survival games and you want to support a developer that has put out a really solid product. Now, it's not a finished product by any means. You might play it for like a week and then just have done everything and maybe just wait. So if you're looking for a complete game, I would wait and hold off and wait for a couple of updates just to see what they have in store for us. If you're just looking for a new survival game to try out, especially if you're just looking for something that's super relaxing, where you can just kind of just go run around and do what you want. Like I said, you can just farm, you can run around and just cut down trees, you can build a giant house, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to engage in any combat if you don't want to, or you can focus on combat or do both. I do both. But if you're looking for a game, a new game to try out, this game's definitely, I think, worth it right now. It's fairly inexpensive investment, and you should easily, if you just try to do everything in the game, you'll easily probably get a couple dozen hours out of the game, maybe more, depending on if you want to try to, like I said, I don't know if every item that's showing up right now is actually available. It may or may not be, but even the stuff that I've seen, like I know that after 10 hours, it's going to probably take me another 20 or 30 hours to probably get the resources, get through the dungeon, and be able to upgrade my gear and get everything unlocked that I want to unlock in the game. So if you're looking for a game that you can probably get 20, 30, 40 maybe hours out of it, depending on how much you build and how much you want to farm and stuff like that, I would say it's worth LEN'S Island is definitely worth playing right now. If you're looking for a complete product, put it on your wish list. I'm going to leave a link for the game down in the description below, so you can put it on your wish list and then just check for updates. I will be sure in the future, depending on how well this video is received and how well the game is received on Steam, if it's well received and it seems like people are interested in it, whenever there's an update that comes out for the game, or if I think there's something interesting to mention in it, maybe I'll do some cool builds or something. I'll do videos in the future. So anyway, that's my opinion on LEN'S Island. I think if you're a survival fan and you're looking for a new game to try out, definitely give it a shot right now. If you only like complete experiences, just put it on your wish list and wait and see what happens when it gets future updates. So if you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful and it's going to help, and if you think it'll help you make your decision on whether or not to play this game right now or to wait, make sure you hit the like button. Consider subscribing for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.